If y'all want to hear about what type of AI and automation program can come out of conversations in a dark alley in Cairo, Egypt, and Chipotle for getting queso, then this is an episode you won't want to miss, everyone. I'm going to be joined with my friend, a travel industry colleague, and an insane adventurer who will hang me off the side of cliffs with him, Ashish Sanghrajka. He is president of Big Five Tours and Expeditions, and he's going to unveil everything that they are doing in their new navigator and program to better serve their clients using AI, automation, and keeping humans in the loop. Stay tuned. Everybody, it's time for another episode of Humanized Automation. I'm your host, Dr. Jill Schiefelbein, and I'm so grateful for all of you tuning in, and you're in for such a treat today. I know I speak fast, but the person who I have on this show today speaks just as, if not even faster than I do. So, when you listen, sometimes you're doing the 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 speed. This one may be like a 0.8 speed listen. And I'm so excited because he has so much to share and is an innovator, especially in the area of luxury travel, sustainability, and artificial intelligence. And he's also someone I've traveled to, I think, like 4 or 5 countries with now and multiple continents. So Ashish Sanghrajka, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And counting. 4 or 5 and counting.
Yes.
The next one is coming soon.
Yes. Well, I am going to actually cut right to something, and we'll get into some of your backstory in a little bit as we go through along. But the first time we traveled together was actually in November of 2021.
That's right.
When I went with you and a group of travel advisors on a trip to Egypt. Now, Egypt had been my bucket list, top in the world place I wanted to go since I was 9, and cut out pieces of paper in the shape of triangles, called them pyramids, and wrote book reports. Not for school, mind you. I'm really that much of a nerd. But getting to go on this and experience it with you, one of the key moments that stands out that happens when you travel is this room for conversation. And I will never forget standing outside this temple with you. Other people were inside, and we started talking about where we thought, and this is pre-chat GPT, everyone.
This is old
where
Cairo.
We thought AI was going. And I just saw you a couple weeks ago, and it's not just going, it's there. So can you tell everyone about what you're doing in AI and luxury travel?
Yeah, you know what? So we were standing out. We were in old Cairo in a narrow alleyway. Everybody else was inside. We're outside going. I remember because we were talking about, touch points. How do we have more touch points? How do we, AI could help us with these creative touch points, not just, hey, I wanted to follow up. And it was basically getting into that. And I remembered that. And I never forgot that conversation because I kept talking about, how do I bring that into business, right? How do I bring that to an industry that, quite frankly, as much as I love the travel industry, we're not the leaders of technology in everything, right? There are certain aspects of the travel industry that need to, that still lag a bit. And to the industry's credit, there are a lot of people you and I know that are forging it ahead, right? They're listening and they're forging it ahead. But you got to forge it ahead where everybody is willing to follow and understanding how to follow. So after we talked about that, we started getting into synthetic media. You and I started talking about synthetic media. We started being able to bring my life, my late father's life. We started bringing that to mix using synthetic media and being able to put it into use, whether it is having somebody go and giving a 5-minute video on what to pack and bring before they go, right? It's a full on basically using synthetic media and actually using it now in a different language. But where we're starting to head now is what I was just talking to you about when I saw you, which was this whole automation on concierge services. Now, on the surface, this sounds pretty remedial. It's actually not. Because the hardest part of this equation, and our designers are working on it right now, but the hardest part of this flowchart, and I'm using Lucid flowcharts for this, by the way, free plug. But the hardest part of this was putting the guardrails in place, right? So imagine you're traveling with us, and yes, all the things you'd expect a concierge to do, it does. But the bot or whatever you want to call it responds, and our working name is Bobby. Bobby responds to you and basically says, hey, ask me if you need, and don't worry, in case you need something, a human's always watching what I'm doing. and can jump at any point. It gives you that feel that's there. And I remember when I put those guardrails in place, I wrote down next to it, Dark Alley Cairo. That's all I wrote down next to it because I'm like, I know where this conversation came from. That's all I wrote down was Dark Alley Cairo. My designer was like, what does that mean? I go, don't ask. Long question.
Yeah, don't ask. No, not important. Well, let me rewind back for everyone now because I wanted to get him right to that and now actually pair it with where is this coming from? So you guys, Ashish is the grand poobah, the leader, the president of Big Five Tours and Expeditions, and they really focus on creating bespoke on-ground experiences in multiple countries, dozens and dozens around the world. And they design their trips. It's not only with luxury in mind, but with sustainability in mind. And they do things a little differently. And I have had the privilege of traveling with Ashish and groups of travel advisors who are getting to experience what Big Five can do for their clients for the first time. And I'm kind of that fly on the wall, right? Who's having those incipient conversations, helping people sell better, taking better social media
helping
pictures.
Helping me put my shoulder back into socket.
Relocating a shoulder after a zip line experience. I mean, all the things that you do as a travel buddy. But what's amazing about this is when you have trips to places that you have never gone, and especially some of the places, that we've gone together. She's like trekking for gorillas in Uganda. Like that's something that preparing for that trip takes a lot of personal detail and a lot of personal touch. And automating that so the person can ask direct questions to Bobby, as it is, and be able to get things, to be able to then, of course, have that human in the loop, which I'm a huge advocate of. It's me. I'm at a store right now. I can't get a hold of Ashish, but I can sure ask Bobby, hey, should I buy this water resistant or waterproof shoe? And it's like, waterproof in all caps. I mean, you get that type of feedback faster. And so it's just another way to service customers. But some people, Ashish, and I'd love to go into this, argue that, well, wait, if you haven't bought Do It, how is that providing luxury service? How is that being personal?
So there are enough hours in the day for a human to do this. There just aren't. Where this stems from, and I said this to you, right? We were in Egypt together and I kept sharing little tidbits with you. Like, oh, remember, this is a really cool article about what we just saw here. This is a really cool video about what we just saw here. And I'm a nerd, right? I don't have nerd glasses like you, but I'm a nerd. I'm a full-on nerd. I'm proud of it too, right? I mean, anybody who's watched Nerds Rule, I am definitely lambda all the way in. So the thing is, luxury doesn't mean, well, not anymore, but it never really, in my eyes, it never meant presidential suites and private jets. Yeah, that's part of it, but it never really meant that, right? To me, it's high touch. It's the little things, right? How do I make you feel special? And I'll never forget, there's a line, this movie Dave with Kevin Kline, the actor. It's one of the greatest movies, but there's a line in there where they're all sitting around in the whatever conference room of the White House, and they're planning out this budget, how to save $650 million or $650 billion, whatever it is, trying to save this and going through. And Dave is asking the Commerce Secretary about this campaign about cars. And he goes, wait, we're spending $35 billion, $35 million, whatever it is, to make people feel good about a car they've already bought. I'm sure it's important, but. So I think luxury, we get caught up in that. We get so caught up in trying to make somebody feel better about what they've already bought. The damn trip is already powerful enough that the trip itself is already doing that. A person is so excited, right? I've yet to have somebody come and say, well, I booked this trip. I'm not looking forward to it. I've yet to have somebody say, well, yeah, I booked this trip to go trekking gorillas or climb Machu Picchu or hike the Inca Trail. And if I have to do it again, I'd probably just stay at home and watch TV and eat bonbons. That's not it. So we have to be able to make sure we don't confuse the two, right? This idea that we have to keep giving you gifts or keep kissing your feet or keep doing whatever. But the idea that we have to keep finding ways to make you feel better about a purchase you've already made that's not what this is about. It's about giving you instant communication, instant gratification. Is it expensive to build out? Absolutely. Should it be done in one go? Of course not. Take phases, have a scope of work for each section. We already have 4 phases of this already in our mind. We have the first part scoped out. We have the second, third, and fourth part that we're already conceptualizing right now to know what this is going to look like, because our next Navigator book is Navigator 6 or Navigator AI. The A is upside down. Right. So it was done on purpose when we planned this. We planned Navigator 5 for our 50th anniversary. This was done. This is all stuff we put into place years ago, right? Because we started seeing this coming in. So when we talk about luxury, there are 3 things, and especially humanizing automation, there are 3 things with AI you have to do. First of all, it's not right now. You got to plan 3 years out, because what we're doing right now is simply scratching the surface. It's just the beginning. So anybody, and I also laugh at this. People go, well, AI is new. No, it's not.
It was coined in 1956, guys. You've heard me say that before.
Well, by the way, sidebar, you want to hear something really cool? This is how you get to tell somebody who's a wannabe. This is how you get to tell somebody who's a wannabe, who's not a real nerd. So you're around those same conversations. Oh, well, we used some AI to do this. We used AI. I'm like, it's not food. I used AI to spice this rice up. Or A1 as we call it.
Sprinkle a little sea salt AI on top of my last dish.
Or apparently A1 in this country, but we
oh my God.
This. but the idea behind this is whenever somebody says that, I will just ask them and go, so how's your calculus? Oh, I hate math. Okay, but how's your calculus? If they can't have a conversation about calculus, it means they don't understand Python. If they don't understand Python, conversation's over. It means it's a wannabe at that point. So I was in these conversations and I started asking, so how's calculus? And I had somebody with me going, what does calculus have to do with AI? I go, hold my beer.
Did they whip out an abacus? Because, that'd be really useful.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. If
I carry one with me when I travel, don't you?
Of course. Yeah. 15 kilograms to Africa. The abacus is all the entire weight. One pair of clothes and an abacus. I'm good to go.
Well, let me pause you real quick. So you made the one point about it's not now. You're planning 3 years in the future. I think that's a great point, and you teased us with 2 others, and I want to get to those. But what I want to just make sure I call out that you said earlier is that luxury isn't the things. I would argue, to make it more succinct, luxury isn't about the things. It's about the feelings. Right. It's about the experiences. Right. And one of the things that I know your new system is going to do well, and that you already did well in the organization, but it wasn't possible to keep up with individual travelers at scale, is, for example, when we went to go to an archaeological dig site, which you surprised me with for my birthday. Thank you so much for that again.
My pleasure.
I didn't sob my eyes out or anything, guys. But,
she cried. She bawled. She bawled, guys. Bawled. We're talking like snot, ugly, crying bald.
He's not wrong. But it's that I get a message in WhatsApp within an hour of being there that's from your team that says, FYI, if you want to share about this experience and let people who weren't here know a little more about what you're going through, here's a documentary that was created on Netflix about this site. Mm-hmm. So again, it just enhances the meaning of things. So to me, that's luxury. That's the personalization. And again, you could have generic for each trip, but it's so much more personal when you know that Jill is traveling. She's a UNESCO World Heritage Site nerd. She wants to get her hands dirty. And her dad loves knowing everything about food that she eats. Mm-hmm. So then you can cater those resources. So, bringing this back in planning 3 years out, I don't need a system that can do all that right away. But if I can do one of those steps, just starting to build your customer profile better, then you're already winning. So plan in advance. What's step number 2?
Once you plan in advance, start knowing where your guardrails are. Start knowing where your boundaries are. Where does the human take over, right? This is not about this is about scaling. It's not about automating for the sake of automating. And I get very tired of people saying, well, we're going to automate this. Why? Because you can. That's like buying a Honda Accord because Honda's the best-selling cars in the U.S. Great, fantastic. They're fantastic cars. It doesn't mean you should buy one if you need a truck, right? It comes down to the fact that none of this should be being done because it's the popular thing to do, right? What's the phrase for? I'm a movie nerd. What's the phrase for Mean Girls? Stop trying to make fetch happen, Gretchen. It's never going to happen. So that's the idea: is that we don't need to do this because pop culture tells you to do it. So you should have a defined reason for doing it, and for us, it was scaling. being able to take what I do, what the team here does, and scaling it as we're growing. It was to enhance it, to do the things that we can't do at 2:00 in the morning, at 4:00 in the morning, at whatever the case when in those few hours that I do sleep. Have that time. And then the third part is to be able to make it where we can actually grow it. I sat down with a member of my team, you know her as well. And I said, look, this is the automation side. There's another side of it where it's dreaming big. I want you to picture that you're on this trip with your husband. I want you to dream big. I want you to think about all the things that we could do to make this special for you. And I started her off and I said, imagine I gave you one of our books and you opened it up, and I'll say you, for example, and there's a QR code in there or something in there, and you scan it. The first thing it says is, hi, Dr. Schiefelbein. Thanks for ordering this book. What did you want to know? That's huge versus here's 196 pages, read this. I don't have the attention span to read 196 pages straight.
Who does?
And nobody does. And frankly, according to all the studies out there, the average attention span that a human being has right now for digital content is 8 to 10 seconds before they go off. I'm going to give you 196 pages to read. Look, I'm a speed reader. I learned how to speed read in college. I can't read in 196 pages. I can look at pretty pictures. But that was the idea, right? So I asked her to think big. So that's the other side of this. My side is the automation side, saying how do we take this and automate the stuff that we want to do, but automate it to a level where it can be repeated and scaled, repeated and scaled, repeated and scaled. It's not robotic. And you want to know where this idea came from? And it wasn't intended, right? I'm a big believer in unintended consequences. So this idea came from Chipotle. Have you ever ordered from Chipotle their takeout?
Yeah.
Okay. You know how they get the web order wrong more than right?
It's been a long time since I've had Chipotle, but yes.
My kids love Chipotle, so I have experience with this. Their quality control on web orders, frankly, Chipotle, if you're listening, it sucks. However, I will tell you that they know this because the recovery bot that they have in place, when you contact them by, to go to a link and start talking to them, the customer service chat about the problem with the order, within minutes, your entire order is refunded to you. I'm so sorry this happened to you. We're going to refund your entire order to you. And then you realize afterwards you're speaking to a bot the whole time that's making financial decisions for a company that's a publicly traded company. And then you realize all of a sudden all this stuff is happening. I've never forgotten about that pod. And to be honest with you, it's a dirty little secret. I will order from Chipotle and hope they get it wrong every time so I can use that bot again. Honest to God, it's my dirty little secret. But I'll do it just because of the fact that, and I'll sit there and my wife would be like, hope they don't mess the order up. And I go, is it bad if I hope they do? Just so I can tell. Because it's a cool system, but that was the idea behind this, right? Not that we get stuff wrong. We get it right. But if a company has acknowledged this is where our weakness is, we're going to use AI to fix this and make this bot so robust that by the time you get done talking to us, which is going to be in 90 seconds from when you start to finish, you are going to forget that we messed up your order because you've already eaten it anyway. Because then that's the part they figured out. Nobody actually comes back to drop off the food and say, you messed up my order. They still eat it. But now you just got a meal for free. And they figured out that, okay, the refund will incentivize us not to get it right. Well, that part's not working well. But the other part of it actually is there. So that was the innovation behind, besides that in our chat, to come back and say, we could take what, as you said, what we're doing well and scale it, right? We're never going to be the biggest company in the world. We don't want to be that, but scale it where you get more touch points, but it's around you, not around us. Right.
Well, and when we write this article together, it's going to be Dark Alleys in Cairo and Chipotle.
That's right.
Interesting title. But I think, for you, if you had taken the order back to the store and you didn't have this bot at Chipotle to interact with, the time it would have disrupted the workers and all of that stuff is actually more costly to the company than just refunding things now. So it's a smart move on a number of levels. But you also think, this is to your point of guardrails. And it's one of the 5 axioms that I tell people all the time: build guardrails around what is effective, not around fear. So clearly Chipotle in this case has built in a guardrail, probably up to a certain financial amount to automatically be able to operate on your behalf, because it is cheaper for them to do that, to keep a customer happier faster than to involve a human and that human labor on top of that. And Amazon chat is the same thing. right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know if you're talking to a human or not, but if you have an issue with a simple order, I mean, it's responsive very fast. Now, if it
Very
gets a little more
fast.
complex, it's
You
not
get a
going to
human
do that.
involved. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is the whole idea of guardrails, everyone. It's like, how can you, it's just the same thing. Like I tell people, think of generative AI right now as your entry level employee on their first day on the job.
Right.
If you're not giving enough instructions to that employee, they're not going to be able to do it. Same to
Right.
AI. And so when it comes to guardrails, it's just like, how do you empower the employees in your organization? And I'm not comparing AI employees to human employees in the same well, but the empowerments for the human employees are similar to what guardrails are for your AI agents that you employ.
Do you remember, I don't know if I showed you this. So I was sitting with the mutual colleague of ours, Gilad. You and I both know. So I was sitting with him, and I was showing him something I got from the hotel that we were staying at. Right, it was a text message. It was clearly a bot-generated text. And I showed him this, and I said, "Here's what I don't want." It said, "How's your stay? Rank it from 1 to 10."
I hate that question.
I hate that stuff. I hate that stuff. And I would, because you can game it. I hate it because you can game it, right? You know, for example, you go to a service bay to service your car, and the tech advisor, what does it tell you? Hey, you're going to get a survey in a few days. Please make sure you give me a 5. Or the airline says, you're going to get a survey. We'd love to hear from you. Please make sure you give us a 5. You're gaming the system. You're telling me to tell you what to say. You're telling me what I should say to you and then saying, wow, we got a high rating. Well, no shit.
Yeah.
Can I curse on your podcast?
Yeah, why not?
Shit. Sorry. So the idea behind... beep. The idea, it is very much that. So I showed him this, and I said, "What's wrong with this?" He said something very interesting to me. He said, "It's about them." I said, "Yeah, exactly. It's not about me. It's about them." So back to the Chipotle example. So they made it about me. They knew I was annoyed, right? They knew I was annoyed.
Of course.
And at the same time, they also knew that in my head, I'm going to calculate how much gas it's going to cost me to drive back there. I got to get up from the dinner table and go back there and go here, then put the food, then wait for the food, then come back. All at the same time, I'm stewing. And I always tell my mother-in-law this. I'm like, I still tell her this. I'm like, what's the point of starting World War III?
Right.
I'm still going to eat the food. It's in front of me. I'm still going to eat it because the time with my family is more important than getting in the car and going. And I'm proving a point that in all reality, when we look at the issues we face as a world, me not getting a dish right at Chipotle is probably pretty down there with me having the wrong color socks on. You know, it's.
But heaven forbid we keep you away from your guac. I mean.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. I mean, and that in this case it was queso. They forgot to put the queso.
Ooh.
I mean.
I don't know if I could recover from that one.
No, that was pretty difficult. But what was really cool about that though was they did have guardrails, really good guardrails in place. It wasn't just a financial transaction. I didn't test that, but I suspect that probably is the case. About 2 days after, I got an email from a human regional manager saying, "I'm so sorry about the order. Can you tell me what happened?" Right now, most people don't respond, but I did respond. Now they could probably automate that part as well, but they chose not to. Right? I mean, Chipotle has enough money to do whatever they want to with this.
Right.
So I chose to respond and said, "Do you have time for a conversation? Because this isn't the first time it's happened. I'd like to tell you about it." So we actually had a talk. And then he emailed me afterwards and goes, "Thank you so much. That was so helpful. Here's your next meal is on me. Here you go." He didn't have to do any of that, right? He didn't have to do any of that. But that was the human decision. That was the humans taking over the guardrails. So one of the things that our system is going to actually have is when Bobby speaks to the traveler. Again, the way the flowchart works, when Bobby speaks to the traveler, the first thing he's going to say is, right when you book a trip, right? It's going to say something like, "Hey, thanks so much for booking your trip with us. We're so happy here. My name is Bobby." Again, working title. I'm here to help you. Anything you need. If you want to check the weather, if you want to know what to pack, what to bring, reservations, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry. If you don't know something, a human being is always watching this message. And I have basically a one-way connection to our internal chats as well. So that means that at any given point, as this messaging is happening, the travel advisor sees it, the client sees it. So everybody who's a stakeholder in that trip sees it. So do my country managers and guides. right? So everybody is there as a stakeholder. And what's really cool is that the guardrails for me is where this Bobby's going to keep asking if it gets to a point where, let's say about packing. Hey, do you want to set up a call to go over something, go over packing with you and whatnot? Great. Fantastic. We know we jump in. That can be scaled, right? That can be scaled because then we're taking over the other parts. And what's happening is that from the minute you book the trip, and this is typically what happens, right? When you book a trip, there are two paths that you go to. Path one, you pay your money, you get an invoice, and then it's radio silence until you travel, right? So basically you get three contacts, right? Thanks for the booking, pay your money. Your final payment's due, pay your money. Then it's your, here's your documents, have a great trip. That's it.
Right.
Or option two or path two is let me spend boatloads of money and just flower you with gifts nonstop the whole way through. Back to Dave's point, I'm going to make you feel better about about something you've already bought, an experience you've already bought. There's nothing emotional about that. Am I getting you excited about your trip? Absolutely. It's genius. But how much is it costing me to do that? And it's baked into the price I'm paying. Mm-hmm. So I'm basically paying for my own gifts in essence. You know what I mean? Like that part's like, okay. So it's there. You have a boat nearby, don't you?
Can you hear that?
Yeah, that's a boat, isn't it?
No, it's jackhammering that just started. Apparently, they're back early from lunch. So,
Never mind. I'm not going to say it. I got a joke involved here, but I'm not going to say it. There's so many different ways. If you Google what I'm about to say, it probably won't come up to anything savory. So
NSFW, right? But it's, so everybody, hopefully the recording will be able to isolate that sound out. But if not, you'll hear some random buzzing. It's because, like 4 floors below me, they're demolishing the front balcony on this ocean-facing building, and they're supposed to be on lunch for the next half hour, but alas, apparently that's not happening today.
They're working overtime. Go get it. Go crack that nut. Go get it.
But speaking of, a simple automation would be like, hey, residents of the building, FYI, we've changed our lunch hours for today. Heaven forbid there's communication about that.
Do you know something? Actually, okay, you want to know something really crazy about that? So think about this. This is something that came up when we're in our planning phase for Bobby. Think about this for a second, okay? Right now, they're working through lunch, and we're like, dang it, they're working through lunch. I just need a half hour. If they had come to you and say, hey, guys, we want to get done quicker for you, so we're going to work through lunch to get done quicker. Is that okay with you? Whole different conversation. Knock yourself out. Go ahead. And I'll tell you a funny story as to why this applies, okay?
And I have one, too, so I want to hear yours.
All right. So this happened. You and I are both Delta junkies, okay? So this actually happened on an airplane, and this happened on the way in. And this is, again, the part where the guardrails is so important, right? So as airlines get more and more into automation and more, this is the part that can't be taken away, right? So we're flying home from Atlanta. It was an MD-80 that was probably older than my grandfather. This is Delta. This plane was around during World War II. I really have to think it was. But it was Delta. I mean, it was there. And so as long as there's Wi-Fi on board, we're good. So I sit down. We're in the exit row. I'm in the window. Little guy in the middle, and then the guy in the aisle. So full flight is like 9 p.m. Pilot comes and says, folks, there's a problem with one of the ignition pins. Ignition on the engine, blah, blah, blah. This can't take off yet. So this is the part that the human takes over, right? So AI could have been, you hear those same recordings, the automated recordings that come out, Zone 4 is boarding. Zone 3 is boarding. Please make sure you don't leave your bags unattended. It's all just pre-recorded, or it's basically done to scale in different forms. Pilot comes on, and now he makes a choice of walk through the cabin, right? So he walks through the cabin, and he comes like, goes, guys, I'm really sorry. So I stopped him and I go, Captain, what? As if I knew what this was. I go, what exactly happened? As if I even knew a thing about engines. But he actually stopped. He goes, there's an ignition pin inside each of these engines. The engines in the back. And one fires and the other one didn't. So we have to use the thrust from here to send it over to this engine to fire up this engine. I have no idea how any of that happens, but it just sounded cool as shit. So I'm like, all right, keep going. So he's like, we're going to send thrust from this engine over to this engine, and we're going to hopefully get this up. So take your time. That's not a problem. Now the guy in the middle doesn't hear any of that, right? No headphones on. He just starts damn it, blah, 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 blah. Just starts just grousing and cussing and this and that. Meanwhile, the pilot actually made it a point to walk through the cockpit because he wanted to humanize the problem. He wanted to put a face to it, right? Folks, I'm really sorry. And now stop this for a second, because if this was a flight attendant, no offense, that had said we would have been like, oh, come on. But if one of the only two guys in the plane that actually knows what the problem really is comes out and explains it in detail, cool, man. I just want to get home. Take your time. Take 2 hours. Take 3 hours. I got no problem. Take your time. And I even said it to him. I go, take all the time you want. No problem. This guy in the middle starts just cussing everything out. We're not getting up to 2 o'clock in the morning. And again, all first world problems, right? Now, you know me. I'm a smartass. I just can't help myself. I tell people all the time, I'm overdue for a black eye. I can't help myself. So I look over and I go, man, I'd be pissed off too. He goes, yeah. I go, yeah, but I think you're pissed off about the wrong thing. He goes, what are you talking about? I look over the guy in the aisle and I go, that's a big guy. I'm a big guy. You're in the middle seat. I'd be more pissed off about being in that seat than I would be about anything else. Dude wouldn't look up the rest of the way. He looked at his phone the whole way down, wouldn't look up at all. And you know what? And we all started laughing at that point because the pilot was able in one instance to humanize something that very few airlines actually know they could do for free.
Well, and it's being strategic about how you're using your human resources, right? Mm-hmm. Because just like your previous example, if there is a reason for something, people are genuinely okay with it most of the time. And this is, if there is a reason for using artificial intelligence, synthetic media, digital clones, whatever it is, if there is a reason that benefits the customer, right, it gets better. And this is, to your point, the text that we received. It says, just checking in, which just checking in, weak phrase. How is your stay at the Chateau Lake Louise going so far? ? Feel free to reply back with a 1-10 in parentheses, 10 being excellent, parentheses, period. Have a great day, ! Now, here's everyone listening. If you want to do something like this, because I want to believe, because this property is exquisite, the service there is immaculate, the team is amazing. I believe the sentiment of the message, at least I would like to hope, is that they want to make sure that if something is going wrong, they want to remedy it during your stay, not hear about it after the fact.
Right.
So instead, it's a simple communication rephrase. Is there anything that has not been perfect about your stay? Please tell us now so we can make it right. Or something phrased. There's a million other ways to phrase it. But again, making the focus on them. Like, if you're experiencing anything, please give us a chance to make it right. Any of those types of communication, it's not self-serving in that way. Right. I mean, it does serve you, but it's with the customer first. So it's make sure your guardrail is centric around the customer, not around a numeric rating.
So it's interesting. I wanted to test your theory because I thought the exact same thing. So I wanted to test your theory. So later on that day, in the room, they only had the sparkling water, no still water. So I had just texted back and said, can I get some bottles of the still water in my room, please? I wasn't expecting an answer. I thought it was basically talking to a computer. And what I got back was pretty cool. So as you said, the sentiment was actually spot on, right? The sentiment they came back with because they were listening the whole time, right?
Well, and it's the listening and it alerts. So you can have within one system automated components and human components, everyone, right? It's not mutually exclusive.
Right, exactly. And they came back and said, absolutely. It was somebody specific, right? That basically said, absolutely, I'm sending it up to your room right now. How many bottles do you want? I'm like, I'll take 4. Fantastic. I'll actually put 5 in there for you. Fantastic. Awesome. Done, right? They were listening. But as you said, the sentiment, most people wouldn't text back. I didn't respond to their 1 to 10. I didn't respond to it, right? So they never got an answer out of me on 1 to 10. But I still use their service. It could have been really cool if they had basically just said, hey, this is so-and-so, right? Whatever. This is Louis. This is Louise. Yeah. This is Louis.
You love assigning names to things.
I do. I know. Well, actually, wait, hey, I'm going to come to your name in a second because you just had a run-in with this. But it was something where they could, whether it's names, whatever the case. But as you said, the sentiment was right on, but they could have started out by saying, welcome to the Chateau Lake Louise. We're so happy you're here. Anything you need? Is there anything you need?
Did you not get all those other messages?
No.
Because I'm looking at my transcript with them. Right. Oh, it's
That's
interesting.
the
And
other
so
part.
everyone,
Yeah.
this is a great case study for how you can automate, have some AI in it, but also have a
Yep.
human in the loop. And what I loved about the system that they had set up, better than any hotel that I've experienced so far,
Right.
is that their whole team, at least multiple areas of their team,
Right.
have access to this. So when I asked a question at the concierge, 15 minutes later, I get a text from the woman who helped me at the concierge desk and was able to reply to her. So they have team wide and system wide visibility on
Right.
everything that's coming in. And so whatever they're using to flag things in their back end system is genius. Like it was really
Yes,
well done.
yes, yes, yes. I mean, so this is mine. So I had the full running with them, but I didn't have the full concierge, like the full using the concierge. Like, so I asked about the bottles of water. They never asked me the 1 to 10 question again. And then they had it delivered there, and then when I left, it was basically want to take advantage of your checkout and everything else whatnot. So I think their back end system is absolutely amazing in terms of the people paying attention to it. I think on the front end, they could soften those messages a bit. And actually what our system is actually doing is something to the effect of, our system is based on client engagement, right? So I mean, the client has to initiate it, but if the client doesn't initiate it and over a course of X number of hours, it's going to be hey, whatever, Mr. Doctor, whatever. Hey, we haven't heard from you in a few days. Anything you need? By
Right.
the way,
It's that proactive reach out, right?
right,
It's
right,
not, I need to make you feel happy about your decision, but it's how do you feel held? How do you
right,
feel seen?
right,
How do you
right.
feel comforted
Exactly.
along the way?
The guide is taking care of making sure that you feel special about where you are. Our team on the ground is taking care of this. I would say we're exceptional as a company. You've seen this. We're exceptional as a company.
I would agree.
Thank you. At those emotional experiences, right? And I know people talk about, well, we provide emotional experiences. No, you don't. Nobody provides emotional experiences. The client provides those emotional experiences. We're simply facilitating them, right?
Yes.
We are simply facilitating. We're a conduit. We are not there. And you and I talked about this in Egypt, right? I'm not there to teach you everything about Egypt. I'm here to let the guide do his or her job and explain everything. And then it's up to you to interpret it to whatever nth degree you want to interpret it to. And then the emotional connection is apparently there. Egypt was on your bucket list since you were a child. I could have shown you a cardboard mummy wrapped up in bandages and whatnot. It still would have had some sort of emotional experience for you, right? I'm not saying it would have been the same thing, but it still would have warmed. I could have sent you something. But instead I said, let the guide shine. Let the guide actually, let Manal or Ahmed or whoever, let them all shine. Let them do. When you go to the tomb that was on Netflix, let that shine. Let Dr. Muhammad and his story shine. That was a different element to it, right? That was the part. So whenever people say, well, we provide emotional experiences, no, you don't. You facilitate them. You are a conduit.
And I don't know how you're putting emotion into me and providing that. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
exactly.
But again, it all comes back to semantics. And Ashish, you and I can talk for days, and we are already like pushing the boundaries of this podcast.
Come on, we got to go Joe Rogan style for 2 hours. Come on, I'm just kidding.
I know. We really could,
Yeah.
But I do want to share one story. I'll embellish only slightly, and Ashish can verify the accuracy of the story. But this is something when it comes to personalization and surprise and facilitating emotion. So not this February, but the previous February 2024, I had the privilege of traveling with Ashish and another travel advisor to Kenya and Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashish and I have been working together in a collaborative capacity with synthetic media, with digital avatars, where we have clones of him and his late father. And of course, they have names because, as we've discovered, he likes to name everything. So his is Flat Ash, and his dad's is a digital founder. But Flat Ash would create videos that would help with packing lists and everything. Again, one-off videos, because automation wasn't available then in the way that it is now. And we're looking at these, and we're driving back. We had finished guerrilla trekking. We're driving to an airstrip in the middle of a 4-hour drive in Uganda on a dirt road to nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashish is like, hey, we need to stop the car. And I'm like, I've done some pretty crazy things. I've hung off sides of cliffs with you. I've jumped off of things with you, whatever. But I'm like, this is a little sketch, even for me, Ashish. So
Yep.
he's like, come with me. And we get out of the car and I'm thinking, what the heck?
I remember this.
I remember saying a few other words in my mind.
Yep.
Is he having me do? And we walk across and he knocks on the window of this other Land Cruiser vehicle on the other side of the street.
Yep.
And in the back, the window comes down. There's a wife sitting here, husband sitting here. The window rolls down after the startle, and the wife goes, and pretty much like clotheslines her husband. I mean, okay, so that was the overdramatic part, but she did swing her arm. It was great. And she's like, holy shit, it's Flat Ash, but he's here. And it was this moment where they could not believe that the president of the company would not only greet them, but here's the thing, AI made that possible.
That's right.
Your artificially generated self brought physical presence and human presence to you where there was immediate recognition in a place where you never would have anticipated having it.
That's right.
And that's where I think we look at our automative systems. We look at how we're communicating, whatever that presence is, not a 1 to 10 survey, but how can we put a personal experience in a helpful and service forward way into different touch points. And that to me is this power. And as you know, Ashish, what humanizing automation is all about.
And you know what? Absolutely. And what that was all about was because the airstrip that we were supposed to go to was closed. And so they had a 6-hour drive, the same 6-hour drive. And we had bought snacks for them and everything to put in the car. Like, hey, just wanted to come in. And I dragged you across a 3-lane highway in the middle of Africa. Like, God, I hope he doesn't get hit by a car. As we walk across, and I'm thinking in my mind, if he does get hit by a car, do I leave her? Do I tell somebody? Do I not tell somebody?
You're like, oh, you have good insurance. We're fine.
Yeah. Or do I just, say, well, she's artificially dead. See you later. No, I'm just kidding. So we started basically then talking to her. And even now, she's taken 2 more trips with us. And her advisor, ironically, because that was the last trip I took with you before my father passed away. That was the week. Remember, we came back from the trip, and then a week later, my father suddenly fell. That advisor knew my father really well. Still, so it was personal for her. Those clients were in South America, and they're messaging me like, "Wow, this is incredible. You guys have been on top of everything." And he's now got a personal connection with him and his advisor, and he's asking different questions. And this is on Facebook Messenger that we're responding back and forth. And it's just by chance that it happens, right? And it was all born because she knew who Flat Ash was. Yeah. That's where it came from, right? In fact, last week, they saw that you and I were at that summit in Lake Louise. And they're like, this is incredible work. And I was showing them as, in part of our conversations, which you'll hear about in the recordings here, I was explaining to them, I said, I'm here because 3.3 billion people live in countries in the world that spend more on interest on debt than they do on healthcare and education combined. I'm at the summit because that's not right. That needs to be fixed. And we have a way to fix it through tourism. And you start talking about that, and that triggered her. But that entire connection, whether it's travel, whether it's the power that tourism holds to fix a developing economy, all of that isn't born without her connecting with Flat Ash. So I would tell people that the indirect connection people have with any kind of automation you do, if you understand the purpose, that's great, but there are going to be unintended consequences, positive and negative. Make sure you embrace the positive ones. The negative ones you can fix, but embrace the positive ones and build on them. Humanize that. Don't automate that part. Humanize that, right? I mean, that's really key. And that's the communication part that I think works so well here.
No, I love it. Ashish, we've got to wrap this up, and I will give you a last word from you before I, of course, say mine, which is my prerogative as host, thankfully. But this is a topic we can geek out on for hours and hours. But when it comes to kind of your final take on humanizing automation, especially within the travel sector, what's your last piece of advice you want to leave?
Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it. It's okay if it's over your head. It's okay. It's over your head. There are so many different ways to learn, right? And we always talk about, everybody always says to you, oh, well, you're never too old to learn. You're right. You're not, right? So don't be afraid of it. It's not here to hurt you. And quite honestly, if you avoid it and say, I'm not going to get into it, like you have people like, I don't do social media. That's your loss, right? I'm not going to pair into it. Okay. It's here to stay. It has been for decades. It's not going anywhere. Lean into it. Don't be afraid of it. It's okay. Yeah.
I love it. And your business is strong. You can course correct. And if you're
Exactly.
honest about it, people will understand.
And clients actually appreciate watching you sweat. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay. It's okay to admit, hey, we effed up. We're going to fix it. We're really sorry. Cool. It makes you human.
Ashish, I cannot thank you enough for spending this time here with me, sharing with our audiences, our mutual audiences, and just your friendship in general. So everyone, check out the show links and the notes and everything. Check out what Ashish is doing. He posts a lot of smart stuff too. Really good guy to follow on LinkedIn. But definitely, if you are in the mood to have an experience traveling that is not only luxurious, and I'm not just talking the private jet type thing, but truly luxurious in they will see you, they will know you, and you will feel because of what you've experienced, definitely check out Big Five Tours and Expeditions. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. This is the host prerogative time, which is like, subscribe, comment. I always do a little dance or something. I don't know why, because it's so awkward to sell your own show. So yeah, go do the things, make podcast hosts happy, please and thank you. All right, everyone. We'll see you on the next episode.